very quickly. Just kidding, just kidding. So let's start. We'll get started with tab 1. This is the easy one. We have to consider for approval the public session meeting minutes for the meeting held on February 27th, 2023. Any discussion or questions?
So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, perfect. Any opposed? Perfect. On to tab 2. This is to consider an award to One Union Station LLC under the Rebuild Rhode Island Tax Credit Act in the amount of $1 million. I think Jeff is going to run us through.
Good afternoon. This is track 15. It's the developer proposing a sort of, I want to call it a food court, but I want you to not think of it as like a mall kind of food. This is a very big eatery. They have 7 stalls that they're fully built out. They're putting in all the venting in. They're putting in all the appliances. They've got significant seating inside the building in the old historic Union Station on the ground floor down where Lux Burger used to be. The space is remarkable, beautiful, vaulted ceilings. They'll have views out. They'll have outdoor seating and indoor seating, and they'll have views out to the river. They've had some cost increases due to some structural issues they ran into when they were doing selective demo, and that's why they've come here for this award. So we're recommending that they get awarded the $1 million in rebuild. They're going to start in 60 days and be up and running in 18 months.
But Jeff, they have, named how many food stations they're gonna have.
There's 7 stalls, and they've leased out 6 of them so
Yeah,
far.
so they've already subscribed up pretty much.
Yes.
And they're gonna run something else on their own too. They're gonna have a bar,
There's a bar in the center of the space that they will actually run. The developer, Chris Marcel, is here if you want to ask any more specific questions too.
Give us a pitch, Chris.
We're
Governor's not here, I can take second command, is that okay, George?
Always, you got it, Carl.
Thank you for this opportunity, thank you for the consideration. We've been working on this project at Union Station, which is a complex in the center of downtown that many of you are familiar with, I'm sure, since my family was involved in it from when it was a train station back in the 1980s. But we're trying to bring life back to the level of the building where Capitol Grill was and adjacent to Bar Louie, or if you go back to when Raphael's was there, bringing these spaces all under one umbrella, if you will, three different spaces, the Raphael's, the tunnel, and Capitol Grill, into an approximately 17,000 square foot food hall, which highlights local Rhode Island culinary talent. That was something that was very important to us to help highlight and support local restaurateurs, established chefs, names that you would know, as well as some up-and-comers that not everyone does know yet, and bring them together with an operator that has done this globally, and really great experience, both from a hospitality point of view, food services point of view, but also allowing for some incubation here that we think there's not a spot in the center of downtown in what has become a vacant space as the restaurants have left because of COVID or relocated elsewhere. But Rhode Island Foundation, which is the owner of that space, has been incredibly supportive of the project, sold it at that lower level to us. We funded the building. We have completed demo. It is a uniquely expensive project in the sense that you are creating these individual kitchens for these small businesses to operate through exhaust, through an occupied historic building, all of the fun things that come along the way. But we are ready to hit the ground running with construction commencing this summer and opening this time spring next year. But yet, like Jeff said, we have 6 of the 7 vendors identified. We'll be announcing those over the next few months. It's a good mix of talent, as well as outdoor space with carts and other things, so we can highlight other events and other vendors over time. But we thank you for Commerce RI's support over the many months, and thank you for consideration.
Any other discussion or any other questions? Take a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Is that like abstain? Abstain?
Grace will make note of that. Perfect. On to tab 3. To consider an extension of the time for initial certification for Resh Inc. Jeff, you're gonna present again on this one?
That's right. So in January of 2020, we awarded an award under qualified jobs to Resh Inc. to move from Franklin, Mass. to Woonsocket, where they were going to build a 65,000 square foot ground up manufacturing facility. They hit some bumps along the road, most of the pandemic being one of them, so it slowed down their construction. They needed to have 35 workers in their chairs by, or in the space by December 31st of 2022, so 6 months ago, or more, not quite. The board can extend that deadline by 1 year, and they're asking for that extension, so they have to have those people in place by December 31st, 2023. They already have 42 people working on site now, so they've already established their minimum. They just needed a few more months of run.
Discussion? Questions?
So moved.
Second.
You're making this too easy for me. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, we'll fix it.
I'm
Tab
gonna have
four.
to meet that timeline.
Yeah. Tab 4, to consider the selection of a vendor for business attraction, advertising, and public relations services. And I think Anika is going to present today.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
So we're seeking board approval for 2 one-year contracts with Duffy and Shanley. And in January 2023, we posted an RFP for business attraction, advertising, and public relations agencies for all non-blue economy sectors. So the proposals were submitted and reviewed by 3 individuals at Commerce. And upon review of each proposal, the committee voted unanimously to award the contract to Duffy and Shanley. So they'll now be the agency of record responsible for the marketing and business development departments dedicated to sectors like biomedical innovation, IT, design, food, transportation, distribution, logistics, et cetera. So the contract would commence on May 1st of this year, paid monthly with a budget amount of up to $400,000. And then our second request relates to another Duffy and Shanley contract for advertising and public relations that's targeting the blue economy sector. And that was originally approved by the board on March 28th of 2022. So we're asking to have that contract renewed. It expired April 1st of this year for an amount up to $304,000. And again, that would be paid on a monthly basis. But I'd also like to share that since we've consolidated all of our sectors under one agency, we're saving about $72,000 a year.
So is that why you chose Duffy and Shanley? I mean, there were no reasons given for why you chose them to be the vendor above the other 2 that submitted proposals.
So the reason that we chose Duffy and Shanley was as part of our scoring process in the rubric and the RFP. They excelled in all of the categories, more so than our existing agency that we were using before, that was, and their name was Ink House. We were having, and candidly, we were having some challenges with the Ink House agency and their performance. And so really that was the reason, with the scoring methodology, that Duffy and Shanley won the bid.
Was there any scoring criteria that they did not win on?
Duffy and Shanley? No, they won on all, yeah.
It would be, I think we had something similar to this last meeting or meeting before that. It would be handy if it's possible for us to see that those scores.
Sure.
Just to make sure that we have the information we need to make this decision.
Absolutely, we can share that.
That's great.
So the spend now, did we always have this first sector broken out to the second sector, or was it all one big piece?
In terms of the up to
You
amounts?
said, no, not the up to amounts. You said Duffy and Shanley was gonna do everything but the blue economy, and then you said they're gonna do the blue economy. Did we have the 2 separated out previously?
They were separated out. So Ink House was doing all non-blue economy, and then Duffy and Shanley was focused on blue economy.
And total spend was about $700K then on that, previously, $700K.
Yes.
Any other questions for Anika? Any other discussion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Tab 5, to consider transitions from the London interbank offered rate to other financial indexes. And I think Bill,
This is very, very exciting. Historically, the majority of the bonds issued, even worldwide, have a pricing index, essentially like an interest rate index, called the LIBOR, the London Interbank Offer Rate. And that rate was established and it was determined by input from various banks as to what they thought appropriate pricing should be. Back in 2012, it was discovered that there was quite a bit of manipulation of that rate by various banks in Europe and around the world. And the UK created a part of their regulatory arm to investigate this, and they determined that they needed to phase out LIBOR. So as of the end of June this year, LIBOR is phased out, and all of the bond issues that are outstanding, that are priced based on LIBOR, need to amend that pricing index to something that's comparable. And in the United States, the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York has determined that SOFR is probably the most appropriate index, and so that's what we're gearing our bond issues to. And over the course of time, in the near term here, we'll be amending a lot of those bond agreements. So rather than come to you with every single bond issue, this is just kind of an omnibus type of a global approval for us to amend these documents with the SOFR, which is the secured overnight financing rate based on repos. I'm not going to get into the financial engineering that goes into the determination of that, but we want to substitute SOFR for LIBOR.
Don't you expect that to be the standard index?
It's the standard, yes. It'll be SOFR, yeah.
There's a small number of bonds that we have out that will be affected.
We probably have a couple. Overall, we have a number of them too, because we have RISC and we have bonds as well. This board doesn't concern themselves with RISC, but we have probably, we might have a couple dozen. Yeah.
any other questions for Bill? Motion?
have another alternative, so.
Move approval.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Tab 6, to consider amendments to the corporation's accounting policy, and I think Justin's going to present.
So an even more exciting topic. Good evening. I come to you today to seek approval for a revised and updated Rhode Island Commerce Corporation employee expense policy. The policy was originally issued back in April of 2000 and has since guided the corporation in employee-specific expenditure reimbursement and advanced funding matters. This policy does not supersede or replace state law. Instead, working to either align RI Commerce's practices directly with the state's policies or provide corporation-specific procedures and guidelines when needed. The policy is structured in 3 major sections. The first focuses on general expenses, which provides an overview of all major expenditure categories that are eligible for reimbursement or advanced funding to employees. The second and third sections focus on in-state and out-of-state travel, where the majority of employee expenses would be incurred. The corporation plans to review its employee expense policy at least every 3 years going forward, and return to the board with a revised version for approval if necessary. State policy or RI Commerce procedure changes that warrant more frequent review or revision will require additional approvals as needed. This most recent review and revision is kind of coming about because I stepped in a little over a year ago now, and kind of over the course of the past year, just kind of doing cleanup, revisions, going through our practices, procedures, and just kind of making sure that we have a fresh, current, and more up-to-date document. This current version just provides a better document flow, organization, creating those three major sections that I mentioned. It makes reference for the first time to the corporation's expense reporting software that employees access to upload receipts, supporting documentation, just evidence of actual expenditure prior to reimbursement. It sets more defined timelines for expense report submission and payment to ensure that expenditures are more appropriately recognized in the general ledger in the period that they are for. It updates authorization levels and job titles. So executive director changed to president COO. The CFO was put in, was now specifically called out where needed as an approval level. And then the new forms of eligible expenses were added as well since the last time. So new ride-hailing services like Uber and Lyft. We added further clarifying language for a lot of questions that are typically asked by employees when they're seeking reimbursement. And we also updated the out-of-state travel daily meal allowance amounts to align with more current amounts in the state's out-of-state travel policy to reflect more current times. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Just another question, do you calibrate the reimbursement based on the city that folks are attending a conference or meeting? Some cities are more expensive in terms of meals, et cetera, or not, that's just a
We do
general.
not. So we're following the state's policy. The state does not do that on international level. We would. So there actually is, in the meal allowance section of the policy that talks about the M&I rate that's more on a per diem basis based on international location travel too.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Justin? Somebody like to make a motion? Second?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, move on to tab 7. To consider the selection of a vendor for Salesforce software consulting, and I think Chris is going to present.
Members of the board, I am here before you today to seek your approval to engage Coastal Cloud LLC to provide consulting services related to the Island Commerce Corporation's Salesforce CRM system. The RFP for Salesforce consulting services was posted on January 17, 2023. 2 firms submitted proposals which met the requirements set forth in the RFP. A review committee consisting of 4 individuals representing the Rhode Island Commerce Corporation supported both proposals. The evaluation committee unanimously recommends that the corporation engage with Coastal Cloud LLC. The selected firm will provide the following services: system enhancements and training related to an upgrade to the Salesforce Lightning platform, ad hoc support regarding system maintenance, support for customization related to the corporation's programs and services and business process improvements. The firm will provide these services for a 1-year period, with the corporation having the option to extend the engagement for 3 additional 1-year terms. The firm will provide 284 hours of support services at an hourly rate of totaling $25 for a total 1-year cost of $63,900.
Chris, why do you think we only got 2 proposals?
We received a total of 6 proposals. 3 of them came in past the deadline for the RFP, and 1 of them did not meet the requirements in the RFP for the jump drive project of the RFP response.
So the 3 that came in too late, we just said it's too late, we're not considering it.
They came in past the deadline for the RFP, yes.
Yeah, I just find myself asking pretty often in conversations like this, why we get so few submissions for things like this. This isn't a huge contract, but I just kind of wonder how we post these things, where they get posted. Because I've asked this question several times, not of you in particular, but I just feel like when we're, putting things out to bid, you want to have more than 2 things to look at. Any thoughts on that?
Well, we
What could be better?
follow the corporation's policy and with the legal advice as to posting and procurement policies we have in place. We follow the suggested timeline for the proposal, for the questions, any questions, we're receiving them. I don't know.
I think we had proposals coming in from California, from Florida, from around the country. We had a total of 6, I believe, right?
Total of 6.
Yeah, we didn't look
Total
for
of
them.
6,
Yeah.
3 are no good, and then 1 had to be kicked out because it was incomplete, which left us with 2.
Yeah, that's not good. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not speaking from a lot of empirical data. This is more anecdotal. I've been on the board for a little while now, and I feel like every time I'm raising this question. So I'm wondering, Liz, if we can do a review of how we're posting these things and whether there are things we can do differently so that we're getting more good proposals for work like this.
That'd be great. I mean, I think we're seeing consistently across all RFPs that there's just not a lot of people that apply for it.
I mean, there are thousands of Salesforce consultants in the country, and thousands. So it makes me question how it is we're advertising for these contracts.
We'll take a look, Bill, we'll get back to you.
Who did we have before doing this work, Chris?
I've been doing the work related to the Salesforce CRM system.
This is our first time to get a third-party vendor in to help us.
Aside from when we went live back in 2013, and we had a consultant help us implement the system. But aside from that, we have not had any outside resources.
Did they submit a bid, the consultant? Did he? Okay. It's critical that you have somebody help manage the CRM and train everybody, because that's the backbone of information here in this group.
I agree.
And you know, I've been a proponent cheerleader for that since day one when we implemented. I could have submitted a proposal, maybe.
Wish you would.
Did anyone else have questions for Chris? Have somebody make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Carl. A second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we move on to tab 8. Thank you, Chris. To consider for approval innovation vouchers, and I think Lisa's going to present. Thanks, Lisa.
Well, Lisa comes up, I just want to introduce Lisa. She's our new Director of Innovation Initiatives, and so we're putting her into the fire right away to come up and do some innovation vouchers.
Welcome.
So tonight we have a proposal for 4 innovation vouchers in front of you. I will run through them quickly. There are some members here from the companies themselves. I believe everyone is here, although we might be missing Gil and GoTef has told us they will be late. You're going very quick for your agenda. You're very
They weren't advised.
So, like I said, there's 4 innovation vouchers. 3 of them are manufacturing vouchers, 1 are with a knowledge provider. I'll start with Desmark Industries. They have a DBA comparison, doing business as. A Cranston-based manufacturing company specializes in complicated products for military, industrial, consumer, and healthcare. This would be their 3rd voucher for unrelated projects that they got as far back as 2016. And what they're proposing tonight is to be able to advance their design and development of a manufacturing system so that they can work on a product and bring it to scale that would be integrating heat and electronics into soldiers' gear. That's a $50,000 voucher. The next is GoTef. It's also a manufacturing voucher. You might recall they were.
Sorry, but can we take these one at a time?
Sure.
Do you want to hear from who's, does that make
Yeah, I
sense?
think I'd rather
There's no
consider
confusion?
these, I know you presented like one motion, but I think I'd rather consider them one at a time, if that's okay with the rest of the
No,
board.
that makes sense, and then if GoTech, we could push them maybe to 4, just to give them some time to get here.
Great.
If that's okay.
So Desmark Industries, Amerison, you have questions, and we do have Lane Mayer here from.
So this is like the heat that I have in my ski boots that I just got this year. It's like little batteries.
Well, what it is we're, what? Oh, do you want me to stand up? Okay. Sorry about that. We're working with a company that's developed a system of getting rid of all the cords for the soldiers now with all of their equipment. So it's a cummerbund system that integrates into the vest, the standard vest, and then all of the items sort of snap together. So we're working right now on like heated hands,
and the electronics go through the undergarments, and then they snap in and into the hands. There's heated hands and feet. So we're doing the insoles too, and we're also going to figure out how to assemble all of the electronics into the cummerbund. So that when they have all their radios and everything like that, everything ends up having very short cords rather than having long cords running through everything. So we're figuring out how to integrate those electronics, how to scale that manufacturing.
And Lisa, so there's no knowledge provider in this? You're not doing this in conjunction with one of the universities?
No, it's a manufacturer.
And the DOD won't fund this?
So so this is the initial piece of it, that we're setting up this, so we can figure out like how we're going to scale it. And then there's a defense appropriation that's gonna be follow-up funding that will hit, later this year, and then that will help us scale.
Is this gonna add, more employees? Is this gonna grow jobs?
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
So, initially, it's gonna be, we'll probably add like, say, 3 or 4. Ultimately, once we scale the manufacturing, it'll probably, we would be, say, and the numbers are in the innovation voucher. It was like, within 2 to 3 years, we'll be adding about 25 people, and however big it goes, as soon as it gets adopted, we're gonna be the manufacturing record for this, so it could be substantial.
So if it really expands, are you committed to expanding Rhode Island?
Yes, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your point to me. So I hate these things. The manufacturing vouchers, the ones with where they work with the university and the rest of it, I'm all for. These, you would think for the money we're giving the private sector would be, these sound like great companies and great investments. You would think they would be able to take care of that. But no, these laws were passed where we don't have a choice but to review these. This looks like a great investment and we have to approve it, but I'm not.
I'll speak up for the manufacturing guys.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I feel a little bit
You have-
small here.
Yeah,
But the manufacturing guys, just with some of these directives that we have, we know what the mission is, and we kind of have to outsource and get the resources where we can find them within industry that, are known partners. And I think that for all the years that we used to get the vouchers, it's pretty strict what they have here of keeping a account of record of where we're spending this money and what we're doing. It's not a handout for sure. And it's great to get involved with the university.
I think those are
Christian
great,
Cowan
yeah.
here, who's part of Old Polaris. And manufacturing guys, this is a great addition to get manufacturing guys to grow their businesses and know there's a small offset in some innovation. And then I think the universities have to pull themselves along, Christian. Would you say that in URI? You're on both sides of the fence now.
Yeah, absolutely. Manufacturing vouchers, it fills an important gap, right? A lot of the companies is to try to do it. In order for them to break into new markets, smaller companies need a little boost to get over a hump. In Lane's case, in order to make those DOD contracts, it's incredibly valuable, even the small funding for these smaller companies. And then pulling the universities in, like you were saying, Mike, that's
slam dunk. I love that.
Yeah.
Because everybody wins. The students win, the professor wins, the school wins, everybody. But whatever. You looked at me as.
Any other discussion or any other questions? We want to move on to the second.
Yes, I do want to ask if anyone's here from Field 2.
I am.
Okay, so I would present Field next. And one will go tech, so later on the agenda. So Guild's another manufacturer in West Warwick. They have a viable opportunity to really break into the market. So here you do have a manufacturer that's created a subsidiary called Fractified, and they're looking for ways to innovate. We'll read this because I don't know if it's right. To develop a micro-layer 3D printer filament to produce iridescent printed components. The filament-based 3D printing is it's growing in diverse applications in a number of different fields, including consumer, aerospace, medical, and Fractified is looking into creating this multi-layer, normally only 6 or 7 layers are put into these products, and they're looking to bring that up to the hundreds. to develop an innovative new annular end product, which will position them for this new business opportunity in different fields, but it will also help them bring all of the development of the end product in-house. Another $50,000 voucher, and we have someone here who can answer more specific.
What does the filament do?
Right now, the filament's just for like aesthetic purposes, so it's basically to demonstrate the micro layering that we're able to do. Essentially, I'm not sure if you guys are very familiar with 3D printing. It's a filament that gets deposited onto a bed, and you can make gizmos, you can make just cool things to sit on a shelf or actually functional parts. This is going to be like just for an aesthetic piece that you'd be printing. And essentially, because of the technology that we have, the layering structure in the filament itself, when that gets drawn and deposited onto the print bed, it's going to become iridescent. It's something that I've been working on personally for a couple of years now. We think it can be a big spark for us. Essentially, Gil has a lot of IP surrounding micro layering. Excuse me. But it's not for 3D printers only, it's for all sorts of things like medical catheters, just hoses and pipes. So the amount of impact that we can have if we kind of tune this in and dial it in on a smaller product is very big, and there's a lot of different opportunities outside of this. And this is just our effort to basically get this off the ground. So basically by doing the micro layering and printing, you'll be able to see the cosmetic effect of iridescence in the 3D printed part. People will hopefully want to come to Gil to develop other micro layered products. Because for us to develop a medical catheter or even a fuel line, it's going to take a lot of money to be able to do that, and that's not something that Gil has. It's not possible. But if we're able to partner with someone, we already have a lot of patents surrounding this. We think that this is the way to kind of break into that market of becoming an end product manufacturer.
So this 50,000 is to allow you to develop basically a prototype or something you could show as like a teaser.
Yes, correct. So far we already have I run the extrusion lab that we have, and basically we have equipment, everything to produce the filament, but we haven't gotten it perfect yet. We haven't gotten it just right. So this is basically a continuation of a lot of the effort that we've already put towards this, trying to again bring that first product to market, and then hopefully get things rolling.
Okay, when you say first product to market, is this a product that you're going to commercially sell?
Yes. So in also establishing this product, we're also going to be bringing on manufacturing staff to support that. Basically, I work underneath the CEO of Gil Bridge-Gourmet, and he wants me to try to innovate these products, and then as we hit on any of these, we're going to start to develop the manufacturing packing in-house to be able to sell it, market it, everything, produce it.
Any other questions? We want to vote on all of them together. Do you want to? Okay, so we'll move on to the third. Lenos Medical.
Lenos Medical. This is actually a traditional voucher with your knowledge provider, Dr. Anita Shiva from Brown University. Lenos Medical has innovated a biological implant called OsteoPro. It is used to address fractures in patients with osteoporosis. They are the first to develop a biologic that is non-cement based. The usual use of the market is a cement implant. And this is already out there. They're already using it and selling this abroad. Their proposal is to do research to see if that implant could also be a drug delivery system to reduce the recurrence of osteoporosis fractures in the future and take that opportunity to improve patients' life. Don is here to answer any specific questions.
Thank you, Lisa, appreciate it.
Did anyone have questions for Don? No questions?
What will this money be used for, and why not the full 50,000? Why did you hold back $4?
That's a fair question, thank you. I think it was just at the end where we landed with all our budget, but you should probably have made it exactly.
I mean, it was honest, right?
I know, I noticed that myself, so. But the money will be used for initial basic research where we're gonna try that our implant can be infused with a drug, and then also researching if the drug elutes out of the implant over time, then in the patients, what that would mean, not only will be the acute spinal fracture will be treated, but then also a drug will elute out and have a systemic effect on treating osteoporosis overall, instead of taking like the weekly injections or oral drugs.
So there's already the implant technology
Yep.
using this system that keeps people's spine in the right place,
Yes.
right? This is about embedding a drug delivery system within that implant.
Correct, and that would be the first ever, no one else has done that before.
This is super cool and exactly, to me, what this voucher program is supposed to support, is this kind of research and innovation.
Any other questions? We have one more to present.
One more.
Perfect.
We have, Sharon from GoTef is a superfood company, you may have remembered, they are making a teff-only based crunchy snack. Their last voucher was to help them create a proprietary manufacturing process for that. They have created it, but have created it to where it is manual. So currently they have this very timely opportunity to work with a third-party manufacturer to design the exact system for their crunchy snack, and then also do R&D on 2 other products they're hoping to bring to market. And representative here is available to answer questions.
Hello everyone. Nice to meet you all, or nice to see you again. We've met before. I have some photos of Plants to Food, the location in Lincoln, Rhode Island, that we will be starting production in, and some of the progress of the construction. They've already built out the bakery line for us. So we're basically, the current funding would be used to test equipment that will help us scale up our production from basically 200 bags that we were able to make manually per day to about 2,000 bags. So, yeah. Our proprietary process will also be tested with other products in our pipeline, like vegan and gluten-free, teff-based ice cream cones, waffles, chips, and other products. Our current product is a granola type snack that can be also used as a topper for yogurts and salads.
Are you selling it?
Yes, so we did, after winning the first voucher that we did get, we sold 7,000 units as our proof of concept, and we were able to get key data points like having an 80% conversion rate at sampling. 8 out of 10 customers who taste our product buy it. We have an 40% repeat buyership as well. So we are hoping to expand and scale and also launch on Amazon, but we really need to start production with this amazing opportunity that really came up. There used to be a spice manufacturer called Wild Tree in Lincoln, and they're now changing it to be a 100% plant-based manufacturer. It's going to be the nation's largest plant-based manufacturer.
I'm a little confused. It says that there's only 1 employee in Rhode Island?
Yes, so.
Is that you?
That is me, yes,
Okay.
correct.
So is this product being produced now and we're not in Rhode Island?
So we did our proof of concept in sort of production where I did have other employees as well. And we used to make the product in Providence in a commercial kitchen facility that was then sold to 7 Stars Bakery. So then our business and a bunch of other businesses were now looking for large scale manufacturing, or we had to like go and find other
So
spaces.
if this is successful, this product will be produced in Rhode Island?
Yes, correct,
Okay.
yes.
Gotcha. Good idea.
And just to clarify, the plant is buying all the equipment, so we will not be using any of this money for equipment, but testing of equipment to be able to find the product out of it.
Any other questions? Take a motion now for all 4, or would you like to do them, do they have to be done separately?
You can do it for all 4, but if one of you would like them separate, you can do it that way.
I'm fine with all 4 of them, and we got the motion for it.
Okay, motion forward. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? Congratulations to everyone. Tab 9, to consider the corporation's annual reports, and Daniela is going to present.
Good evening. We have, through the corporate, even here also from the House, you can attest to this, about 35 different reporting requirements that we have to the General Assembly, the Office of Revenue Analysis, the Office of Management and Budget, and others. We try as much as we can to streamline some of those reporting requirements and fold them in as much as we can into one thing. In front of you today, you have a draft annual report for fiscal year 2022. This report covers a few different requirements that we have. You may ask why fiscal year 22, we're in April. The reporting requirement requires that we submit it 11 months after the end of the fiscal. So we've got till next month to be on time still. We're gonna work to do this a little bit quicker so this can be a little more relevant moving forward each year, but we are on time right now. So this would hit our statutory requirement of our annual performance report, and as well as we list in here, we have a board training requirement. You all know this well from your own time on the board. Within 6 months of being appointed, you've got to have your training with Chris, and then we've got to report on those trainings. So we've included that reporting in here as well. And there is also a program accountability and board metrics component of reporting. Each of our major programs are featured in this report, and so we've got our program accountability with our metrics and stats for each of the programs in here as well. So the annual report covers general performance and a look ahead to the next fiscal year. The board trainings and different board reporting is in that final section on finance, governance, and accountability. And then our program accountability and metrics are baked within the full report, looking at Mike's now, the yellow boxes you see articulating all of the metrics that we have. So this is in front of you, seeking to pull those reports together. We have a whole host of them otherwise as well, but just a couple of our 35 to all come together. I should also note for those keeping score at home that all of our annual reports are also available on our website. So folks around the room who would like to keep track of, everything is available on our Open Government Transparency tab. So the old reports from 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. That is, so my request is to approve our annual report and fulfill our reporting obligations for this. The last thing I will say also is that our annual accountability report is attached statutorily to our financial accountability report. We do that, and Justin prepares and provides that information. We do that through our independent audit. So that is separate, but we link that audit into this, and that has already been completed for this past fiscal, so we are set on that component of that reporting requirement, even though it's not featured in here, because we have our independent auditors cover that work for us.
Why is the motion references us approving 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21?
This is because we are doing some housekeeping, and we have not officially, as we are aware, brought all of those reports to you in the past. So we are making sure and crossing T's and dotting I's that you all are aware of all of them, and that we can get official approval for all of our past reports that have been transmitted and posted for the last few years.
And Danielle, you said all of those are accessible online. Good.
The report's really well done, I would say. It's readable, it gives a good summary of the work that's been done. So good work on this, congratulations.
Thank you. I will say thanks for the team who, a lot of the Commerce folks who pulled together a lot of the data, and also to Peter's point of asking for an extended contract with Duffy and Shanley. I think Chris is here and he'll help us put this together, so you can see the kind of product that we get from that team.
Any other questions or discussion? Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second? Thanks, Bill. All in favor? Any opposed? Move on to tab 10. And Danielle, I think you're gonna stay with us and give us an update about the rebounds program.
And I'll say, we'll take the watermark off of this report, we'll get it transmitted, and we'll get it on the website and share it with everyone once it's available on the website. Thank you. We also have paper copies of our AV is working today, so you all have a rebounds update in your board packets. There are paper copies in the corner as well for anyone who would like to review, but we weren't able to show up on the big screen. So just in case anyone does need one, it's there. So a couple months ago, we had come to you with an update on the rebounds programs, and since there are so many of them and so much work happening, we wanted to give a quick update on where we stand in the last few months. You had also, I think the last time we talked, you had approved some amendments and revisions to the programs, and so good to tell you what's been going on since last time we approved stuff. The first component of the rebounds program is the Small Business Direct Grant Program. The last time we came to you, we asked to approve supplemental awards for a subcomponent of particularly hard-hit industries of grantees within that program. As of today, this is a bit update from the paper copy here. As of today, we've given out just over 700 of those supplemental grants to of the about 1,080 awardees that were eligible for that. So we've got 331 outstanding, and Karen and team are doing yeoman's work in getting the word out, making phone calls, sending emails, making sure that folks are aware of this opportunity, but we're looking to close that down by the end of the month, and so be able to process everything and have that program wrapped up by the end of the month. The second program that you also approved an update to was our HTE, our Hospitality, Tourism, and Events Grant Program. At a recent board meeting, we had some funds that were remaining in that program, and we had asked to increase the amount of the percentage of net need of loss that we could provide for the grantees there. We've done that additional grant making. We now have about $1,100, $1,200 remaining total in the program, which we'll be returning those dollars to the state. We're considering that program closed at this point in time. The third program is the placemaking program, and as you know, as you remember probably, we were heavily oversubscribed for this program, and the biggest update now is just continuing to work with our grantees. They've been doing work and doing their programming for this work. The one note is that some of our municipalities particularly are finding getting a little bit of delay with some of the implementation, particularly with capital projects, and so are asking for a fall extension, and so we're working with some of our grantees to extend for a few months to allow for build during the summer months. The fourth, this is why we do this, because there's so many rebounds programs. The fourth is the Take It Outside program. The update since last go around was we were slightly undersubscribed in the first round of this RFP, though we had some respondents who said, actually, I could take on more, but I didn't raise my hand and ask for that much earlier on. We ran a second RFP process that recently closed. We received 7 responses for about 860,000 in requests, and you'll note in the table here that we had about 210,000 in funds that were not yet obligated. So we're oversubscribed through that second RFP round. We'll be able to cover a little bit more than that 210 because we've had some of our initial awardees not fulfill their full obligation, so we'll be able to pivot some of that money in to support more of that 860, but we're fully subscribed to this Take It Outside program now for the second round. The next program is our Technical Assistance Program. This is being run in collaboration with Skills for Rhode Island's Future, who's administering. They came to us through a competitive RFP process as well. We have a vendor application, so this program is connecting
local vendors, B2B, in state with small businesses to provide accounting, legal, marketing, HR, different types of technical assistance supports. Our vendor application is now open, so if folks know anyone who is interested to Bill, your point on getting the word out, please let folks know. And we will, there's an update to what is here on the slide. We are doing some beta testing presently of the small business application. So that's going to go live mid-May. We're thinking in a couple weeks, but we're doing some beta testing on that application now. The small business application is not yet live. That's an update from what you got from last week on the slides. And then finally on rebounds, the last one we got is the ventilation program, which you'll remember was statutorily linked with Take It Outside. And so the dollars associated with Take It Outside and ventilation all came in together. We did issue an RFP for the ventilation program, have 9 intermediaries selected with $2 million in awards. And an update off of the slide you have in front of you is that as of today, we've gotten $23,000 out so far, with another 70 in advance ready to go. So there is movement on this program, and we're getting pretty good uptake and traction with our 9 intermediaries. And then the last one I'll have is just a note. It's a non-rebounds program. So the rebounds programs were all allocated for the FY22 budget. An FY23 allocation is our Minority Business Accelerator, our Minority Business Support Program. And the big updates here, we did introduce everyone to Olinda on our team last month. So we've hired our manager for the program, and we have released a solicitation for the first $3 million for an intermediary-based program, and that is live, closing on April 28th. And so similarly, I'm saying it out loud, I'm saying it to the folks on screen, please spread the word, let folks know about that RFP and solicitation as well. And we'll have more updates on that program as well, but because there are so many efforts going on and so many programs, and Liz makes the joke that we've got too much to fit on one page, and all of our 40 programs fit on 3 pages and 10-point font with one sentence. So we'll do obviously more programs and program updates as we go forward, but because there's so much going on with rebounds and it's timely right now, we wanted to come back to you a couple months later just to let you know how things are closing out.
Technical assistance program.
Yeah.
The vendors that provide the services, they've all been selected?
The application period is still open, and we're doing sort of rolling approvals, and so now you're gonna check my number. Is there a number? I'm not gonna say it out loud. That have been pre-approved already.
And they're all Rhode Island-based vendors?
The focus is Rhode Island based. If we end up with, somehow we don't have a single accounting firm in Rhode Island who responds, I think we might be all right. But if we somehow don't, then we might need to look elsewhere. But the plan is to stay within Rhode Island specifically.
And who's selecting the vendors? Is it Skills for Rhode Island?
Yep. Through a group of process that we've worked on with them. Determining things like, past experience, references, things like that.
And are nonprofits eligible for assistance to this program, or only for-profit businesses?
Yes, nonprofits are eligible.
Bill, if I could just flag, we are very eager to receive those applications for vendors from lawyers, from accountants, from PR folks, from marketing firms, from website developers, from HR, from all of those kinds of things that businesses need to get themselves up and running and to grow. So we've been heavy in some places and light in others. So if you've got businesses or people who are doing it, please send them our way.
Okay. Just really want to make a comment. Thank you very much for the ongoing report back on how things are going and where you stand. Really appreciate the updates. Thank you.
And we're going to decide what we're going to share about next month. If anyone has one that they're interested in, let us know. We'll keep it on the list. Right? I know broadband we've got, but there's programs that folks do want to hear more about. Please let us know, because we're going to cycle through each month.
I don't think there's a vote on tab 10, but I think Secretary had a few words to say.
In addition to introducing Lisa as our new Innovation Initiative Director, I just want to introduce 2 other new employees. We have Tig Joyce here. He's an investment analyst. Tig is a Rhode Islander, but moved away, but we got him to come back. So we're very happy to have Tig back in Rhode Island. And we also have Matt Touchette. He's our Director of Communications. He's recently started with us, and so we're really excited to have our full communication staff on board. And then I think the last thing I wanted to just point out is Anika, who got to speak earlier. Anika was the winner of the Government Agency Sector Providence Business News C-Suite Award just this past week, and so we just want to say congratulations to you.
I think we just need to vote to adjourn. Would somebody like to make a motion? Second? All in favor?